Alright, so I recorded this once already, but it wasn't recording audio, so fuck me, but we'll try it again, I suppose. I know I'm late, but I wanted to weigh in on the day before and the 10 minutes of gameplay that was just released for it. To be honest, this gameplay is mostly a nothing burger. It doesn't show us much, and the stuff that it does show us is honestly kind of inconsequential. I was hoping they'd show us more stuff that we hadn't seen before. Instead, we got kind of basic mechanics or stuff that we know exists. And the first thing that she does here, this character does here, is go into this house and go to the crafting bench. Now, before we get to the crafting bench, I want to quickly touch on interiors. Interiors coming from a DayZ mod perspective are incredibly important, considering that mod had basically zero interiors. Probably one of the reasons why DayZ Standalone has so many interiors. I hope in this game interiors aren't kind of overdone. I really hope that they are used sparingly and used properly, I suppose. So at the crafting bench here, there's a couple things to mention. One, the resources that I need to craft things. They showed that before. So rat, metal, and chemical. Interesting. I suppose you'll scrap things and you'll get resources to craft things with. One thing that I'm very skeptical about is the legitimacy of this and how much of this will actually be in the final product. It's very easy to be skeptical of this game again, and so you kind of look at everything that we're seeing under the lens of a microscope, and you can judge it very easily. This is something I don't think I'll judge too heavily just because it's a pretty easy system to implement, I'd imagine. And it looks fine here. Like if this was the final product for the crafting system, then I wouldn't be disappointed. Moving on here, out of the crafting bench, she goes and she loots a cabinet. The first thing that I started to notice a lot in this gameplay was not only was there a lot of looting, but there was a lot of loot to begin with. Like there was a lot of things in everything that she looted. And so if you look at the inventory space, if she looted like everything that she saw, then her inventory would be filled up very, very, very quickly. And from a balance standpoint, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'd rather resources and things that you need be rarer than what's shown in the gameplay. The other thing about this gameplay is there's a lot of zombie shooting, which I don't want to see. I don't want to see zombie shooting. I'd much rather see PvP. I'd much rather see stuff we haven't seen before, as I said. And we've already seen zombie shooting. And we don't need to see more of it. You know, like it's cool, and I'm sure the zombies will be a threat. But the players should be the real threat, and we don't see any PvP in this, which is very disappointing. So as we're running into this next door, I'll mention again that this entire gameplay is really a nothing burger because all we see is looting, shooting, and walking around. And that's basically it. This is an interesting UI here. I'll skip through it though, because I think it's just the alarm or something. Again, more looting. The stuff in here, it's a valid question to ask. What is that phone doing there? What is that necklace? The money, I assume these are things that you can sell to traders to then buy gear, which is fine. But again, if you looted everything, your inventory would get full very, very, very quickly. So it's just something to note. I'll quickly pause it here as well. On the right, obviously, we get the info that you can carry 2 primary weapons, a pistol, and a knife, which is interesting, but pretty standard. And obviously body armor, shirt, pants, backpack, hat, glasses, what looks like gloves, and I can't see what that bottom item is. It's a bit blurry. Anyway, out of the store and back into the streets, and it's just more walking. I don't even want to show this entire gameplay because that's all it is, and I only wanted to give my thoughts on it. One interesting thing to note, as she passes by these cars, you'll see the white dots, which indicates you can loot them, and they are on pretty much every car that I saw her pass, or that she went close to. Which is interesting, again, because if you're going to be able to loot everything, and there's loot and everything, then what's the point of looting, right? But they'll balance the loot, I'm sure. And so just the fact that you can interact and loot all the cars in the world is cool, and I think that's as deep as I'll go with it. As we're walking around here, as we're looting, it's a valid question to ask, is this real? Like, are we actually going to be playing in this area? Is this world that you've constructed for this gameplay something that we'll actually be able to visit and loot in? And then as they go deeper towards the end of the gameplay, there's a much more open area with more skyscrapers, and you just have to wonder, like, is what we're seeing actually playable. They've shown off other vast landscapes as well, like the countryside. So it's very valid to wonder whether the scope of this game is actually going to be completed. Because, again, we basically only see the environment and some loot in this trailer. That's basically it. There really isn't much else. So here, as she's crouching up to this barricade here, I really hoped this would be where we see some PvP, but nope, it's just more zombies, which sucks. But I mean, something I will say is if this is the environment that we'll be walking around in and that we'll be exploring and fighting in, it looks really cool. I have to give credit to whoever designed this environment because it looks epic. I just hope that it's actually real. And as she walks into this store, you'll see that you can loot quite a bit. All three of the cabinets she just walked by are lootable. So very interesting. Back out into an alley at the back of the store, and it's more of the same. More zombie shooting, more walking around. She sits down to drink here, which is a basic mechanic that, you know, we would expect to be in this game. So, I mean, at least it has an animation, right? Anyway, she gets back up, keeps moving, and this is basically where it should end, because we don't see anything else apart from the large open area, like I said, which again is cool. You just have to be very, very, very skeptical and very careful with, you know, how we hype up this open world. The last thing I'll say is that it's crazy to me that we can get a gameplay trailer like this that without the history of Fntastic and the team behind this would be incredibly hype, right? Like, this would be sick to look at. But given the team that's behind this game, it sucks because we have to be very, very, very careful. I for one hope they pull off the scope of this game. I really do, but something tells me that the delay won't reap anything, and this game won't actually come out with much to do. Anyway, they walk in here, and that's it. And so this is where I'll end it too. Yeah, just wanted to weigh in with my thoughts. Appreciate you watching. See ya.